what do you value most now at this stage in your career? Would you say it's been more useful, the work experience that you've built, or any of your formal learning?
I'm afraid it's about 95 to 99% work experience and life experiences. So I would put in the formal learning as a contributor to the life experiences. But in terms of, the day-to-day stuff I do from a professional basis, it's over 90% work related. But I guess coming back to a previous comment I made earlier on, you don't have to do business in a rock hard way. You can also do business in an empathetic and compassionate manner, and that's where if you want life experiences or people that you admire around the world that can influence the way you work, that plays a part.
And how about your industry and what the future of work looks like in your industry? Do you have any tips or visions for the future that you can share with us?
So I work in, I would say, mainly two industries, one more than the other. I work within the blockchain space. Blockchain is considered, one of those emerging new technologies that can transform the world in a significant manner as much as the internet has done. But I also have an industry knowledge that comes from insurance that started in end 2017. And it's interesting because one is actually going to be completely revolutionizing the other. So one is a very old-fashioned, ties, jacket, white male, mid-class, dominated industry, whilst the other one is a bit more dynamic, let's say, and a bit more curious. But if you replace the word insurance and you put more traditional companies, let's say traditional industries compared to the emerging, all these are going to get revolutionized. COVID-19 has accelerated that. What COVID-19 has done is that we can't continue the way we work today when we're faced with a pandemic like COVID-19 that requires us to work from home, that requires us to build business relations through Zoom or through other kinds of business. So we have to work in a much more digital manner. It has brought digital transformation to the forefront instead of companies traditionally talking about digital transformation from a lip service perspective, right? Whilst the people who've worked in blockchain, and you can replace blockchain with artificial intelligence or with Internet of Things or robotics, they know where the world could be heading towards to, and they know it's radically different. So what does that mean for the persons who are looking for jobs or who are thinking now, I'm a 12-year-old or 15-year-old child, what should I be thinking about? Well, I would say still have fun, enjoy life on a day-to-day, but the main skills you want to have, or some of the ones I was discussing earlier on in this call, is that it's curiosity, is a self of ownership. You're willing to own, I'm going to learn about this. Being able to take initiatives. A lot of people nowadays will learn stuff from YouTube. Will learn stuff from blogs. Will learn stuff, from an article they saw on Twitter or whatever. Yeah. The academia world still has a place, but it's very rarely is up to date with what's happening, simply because the world is changing so fast. And to create a curriculum that is adapted to that is incredibly difficult. I'm a startup founder. This is my 6th startup. I can't keep up with the 20-year-olds, who are building startups, because I don't have that same energy. My brain is slowing down, but yet I'm trying as much as I can. So you're young, you're curious, you have this time, use it to learn whatever you can. The information is freely available on the web. Go for it. You have no excuse. I'm sorry.
That's a great answer. And what about for educators? So the final question is, how can educators be thinking about how to make this transition smoother and easier? Because as you just said, as you just identified, it's hard for school to keep up.
Yeah, so there's 2 levels, right? There is the formal framework, the infrastructure of a school that, no matter their best intentions, is going to have a hard time to move at pace. The best thing they can do, I would say, is decentralize, distribute the power down to the teacher level. Problem there, you may have some inconsistencies. But if a teacher is willing to embrace the speed of what's happening in the outside world and bring it straight into the class, for example, let's say today, instead of saying, essay, what is it that any of you have heard that you thought was interesting on YouTube, on Twitter, on Instagram. You know, tell me something that made you wonder. So I've got this insurance community I built, and every week we invite members of our community and we ask them two simple questions. Tell us what you saw in the news that you thought was interesting, and tell us what you thought in the news that made you wonder. And this is, again, is to bring this outside into this stale kind of in traditional industry. So I would think there's an opportunity for educators to bring this outside perspective into internal, so that the kids they're the kids who bring that information in and they discuss it as a class, right? And that is developing some great skills. They're researching information, they're negotiating, they're discussing, they're criticizing and analyzing. And I'm sure the teacher's going to learn a ton at the same time. So it's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, the teachers will definitely learn from the students, and the students will learn from each other. That's the other great thing. And people's passions will come into play as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's a great way. And, you know, you can have fun for it. You can say, okay, imagine a class of 20. Each of them brings a piece of information. You know, at the end of the class, or whatever time they dedicate to sharing that information, you know, there's a vote. You know, which one of these things that was shared should we investigate further as a class? Or should we create a little project team? You know, and then you have an elected leader or whatever, and you coalesce around that, and you run with it, and you create a project, you know, about it. So there's so many things you got to do, but just try. You know, if you think about the teacher as a mini startup, I mean, think of the teacher as a venture capitalist, and his students are all entrepreneurs, and they've got to dish out money, right? And the dish out money is not money, it's actually time. I'm going to give you, each of you guys, one full day or half a class, you know, to come up with a project. And if you hit that certain milestone and the class supports you, then I'm going to give you more time to investigate this. And if it hits certain milestones, then you can present it to the whole school, you know, or to a European level or whatever, you know, in the country. But that's what I'm saying, you know, experiment, try different things. And I think actually this could be a pretty good idea if the teacher sees themselves as a venture capitalist.
I love that. I love that mental image.